Hello and welcome to our marketing chat that we host every single Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Today we're going to be talking about how to use video to promote your business, and I'm super excited because we have Wistia here. Let me move over my mouse. We have Elise Ramsey from Wistia. She's the community manager. Very excited to talk with her about using video effectively. If you're watching on YouTube, I want to let you know that we have a tweet chat going on at the exact same time. If you'd like to participate, all you need to do is do a search or use the hashtag marketing chat, and you can chat with us there. If you have any questions during this conversation, you can tweet your questions to Elise using the marketing chat hashtag, or if you're watching a video and would like to submit your question or ask it or put in a comment, you can click on the Be Part of the Conversation link, and it's a little widget on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. If you click on that, you'll be brought into a special YouTube chat room where you can type in your questions or add your comments. We'd love to be able to engage with you there. Or if you prefer just to leave your notes on Facebook, you can go to the Experian US Facebook wall and post your questions or comments there. We'll be looking at that throughout the hour. So Elise, thank you so much for being with us. I apologize that I'm having major video issues on this side. So when hosting a video hangout for business, don't do what I'm doing and not being able to actually look at your guest. So thank you so much for hanging out with us.
That is great. All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Obviously love video, love talking about it. So I cannot wait to talk to you guys about this and just have a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you were sharing right before, so for those that are just joining us, Elise just came over from a roller rink, and they were doing some production there. And I was just sharing with Elise my disasters at the roller rink. I can't skate anymore. And so anyways, Elise, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was rough. I am also, in addition to being the community manager here at Wistia, I'm also the dance team captain. And so that
awesome.
There was a dance routine at the roller rink, and yeah, wild ride. But I'm back. I'm in the Wistia studio. If any of you guys recognize this background, I'm here, and my colleague and friend Elise is manning the Twitters, and we're just gonna kind of tag team two Elises.
That is so cool. That is so cool. The other Elise will need to actually drop into the video at some point to say hi to everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Elise.
Yeah, Elise.
Right now. Say hi.
Hey, Elise. Good to see you. Awesome.
All right.
So for those that have not heard about Wistia, can you kind of talk about your company and the work that you guys are doing?
Absolutely. So Wistia is video hosting businesses. And really what that means is that we are a video hosting platform. We are software. And we have a bunch of analytics so that you can see exactly how each one of your viewers is watching your videos, and a bunch of marketing tools. So you can add calls to action, email collectors, things of that nature to your videos.
That's awesome. Elise, why would Wistia be a good alternative to doing something like on YouTube?
The age-old question. We don't look at them as being completely mutually exclusive. YouTube is really, in essence, a social channel. And so that can be a great way to get brand awareness and make other content that is really specifically for the YouTube audience. However, people watching your video on YouTube are not going to go to your site afterwards. They're going to stay on YouTube because that's part of how YouTube makes money and is what they're all about.
Totally.
So we really believe that the foundation of your video strategy should be based on your own website, because it's not just about someone watching your video, the fact that they watched it. It's really about what they do afterwards, right? So what are you trying to get them to do after? If they're on your own site already, you can make them watch another piece of content and perhaps eventually buy your product, things like that. It gets them into your ecosystem.
That's awesome. And one thing that I love about Wistia, from checking out your site and from watching the videos, I love the way that you guys craft stories in your videos. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of storytelling and how you at Wistia are doing video and telling stories?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you. That is awesome to hear. Yeah, I think even more than trying to think of a specific story for the business, because let's be honest, we hear that word storytelling a lot in marketing,
Yes,
right? And sometimes
that's
it's
right.
like, okay, what does this really mean? Is this just a euphemism for regular marketing?
Right, right.
But our goal really with all of our videos is to A, show the human side of our business so that we are showing our authentic selves to people, and B, to really explain something that is best explained by showing. We do this in combination with the core value of providing something valuable to our audience for free. So obviously a lot of the videos that you're talking about are in our learning center, where we teach people how to make better videos. So it's kind of that combination, I think, is how we go about storytelling in a way, is that we really try to focus on getting people from the team on camera, being our unique, authentic selves, and explaining things, giving valuable information away to people who need it.
I think another thing that you guys do really, really well is not only the video is really, really engaging, but you have like a call to action. Like you're encouraging people to move on to the next step. I want to know like your thought process on those calls to action. Like what types of calls to action should businesses consider doing after someone's finished watching a video to either continue that engagement or to drive them to some sort of conversion funnel?
Excellent question. So this actually, believe it or not, goes back into the concepting process of your video before at all. It's so important to make sure that every video you make has one goal and it's not too big of a goal. So we really think about video as one part of an integrated marketing strategy, your whole strategy, not just your video strategy. So that video, before you write the script, before you shoot it, you really need to make sure you know the one goal that it is trying to achieve and how it's helping your other marketing goals. So let's say we, for example, pretty recently updated one of our features. We wanted to let people know about that feature and get them to use it right away. What we did is we created one kind of exciting video that got people excited about that and explained it, and then at the end linked them so that they could use that feature right away. So I think the main takeaway there is to make it very specific. So in any call to action, the more specific, the better. You have to know exactly the goal that you want and not try to achieve 3 things at the end of your video, just one.
I think that's a really, really good tip, because I think sometimes even when I'm thinking about making a video, I'm thinking about, oh, I want them to do this. I want them to subscribe to our channel. I want them to go fill out a landing page, right? I want them to be a fan on Facebook. Like, there's so many things you're thinking about, maybe as a marketer, that I want them to do all these different things. And what you're saying is it's very important to be focused on one specific goal that you can then measure out.
Right. Well, and think about it. We've all had that experience of watching a video that feels like it was made for you at that moment, and it gets to what you are looking for, and it's a seamless process. You want to try to recreate that experience for your viewer, and too wide of a net. Really try to make a video for that one person, for that one purpose, and give them one clear thing to do afterwards.
That's really, really good advice. Elise, I was wondering about, because I think that is a very common mistake to make by having too many calls to action, to the point where it might frustrate a viewer, but they don't do anything because it was like you're asking people to do too many things. So I love your advice about having one specific goal. I'm curious about what other kinds of mistakes do you see businesses making on their videos, aside from having them asking for too many things?
Yes. So aside from asking for too many things, touches briefly on the point I made earlier, trying to make the one video to rule them all. It's going to explain your whole business and just dramatically improve conversions, and it's going to I think that's the way that a lot of people talk about video marketing because it is pretty new, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be fine. We're just going to throw a lot of money at this one video we've never done and whether or not it worked. Well, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure on one piece of content. If you think about it as just a piece of content, not some special video land, it's a lot of pressure on you, the marketer, and it never really works out well that way. So, again, what am I saying here? Really, it's about breaking your message up and starting with something that is pretty low risk. So the first video you make should not be about your business on your homepage. That doesn't really make sense. It should be something that your whole business is not riding on, especially if you are learning to make video yourself. The thing that we recommend and can be really useful for small to medium businesses especially is to hire a production agency for the first video, stay involved in that process so that you understand and have a control over your brand throughout that process. And while you have that professional video, try to level up your own skills by learning at the same time.
Elise, you said something very fascinating which I've not heard before, and that is for the video on the homepage, don't make it really about yourself. Can you talk a little bit more about that video, about what you mean by that? Yeah,
and I misspoke there. I'm saying your first video should not be.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Video. Yeah.
Gotcha.
By all means, once you get better with the video process and actually get better at being concise with your messaging, by all means, video on your homepage, super great way to really hook people and then keep them interested. Fantastic hook.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, you hooked me. I mean, when I watched your first videos, I mean, I just kept clicking. I want to see more. I want to see more. I want to see more. Do you guys have a suggested video length? I'm just really curious about your thought process on, for a business that's going to go out and make maybe their first video that's going to maybe appear on their homepage to let people know about their business, to help engage their audience. Do you have like a suggested length? I'm just curious about that.
Yes. Good news. Yes, we do. So we have a lot of data from having really millions of videos hosted on Wistia. And so we know that videos that are under 2 minutes long get better engagement, which means audiences stay watching for longer on average. So 2 minutes is really that sweet spot. And yes, it depends on the type of content. Obviously, if you want to put a webinar up, that's a very long form type of content. But in general, business videos do best when they are under 2 minutes long. And I'd even go further and say that in some cases, the shorter the better. I can give you a concrete example. If you right-click on any Wistia player, anywhere out there in the wild, there's an About Wistia link down there. If people are like, hey, what is this player? We created a landing page that had a very short explainer video of just what the heck Wistia is. We tried one version that was about a minute long and then looked at the data and tried a version that was about 30 seconds long, and the one that was about 30 seconds long had a huge increase in engagement. It really depends on where you're hitting people with that video and what the context is and what the point of the video is, right? So if it's an explainer like About Wistia, someone wants that answer right away. If it's a how to use a professional camera tutorial, that makes sense to be a little bit longer.
Okay, that's really, really helpful, and thank you for sharing the insight you guys learned on the dramatic increase in engagement from moving from a 1 minute to a 30-second video. That's really, really cool. I think what's great also about the work that you're doing at Wistia is that I think going back to the storytelling on how you continue that engagement. Like, I was just really fascinated because I was like watching your videos, and even though they're short, they're part of a longer story. Like you have so many messages that you're leading people down this path. And that's, to me, what's interesting is that even though maybe you get optimal engagement on these shorter videos, they're part of some story. They're part of a structure that you're trying to tell or help people down a path to get certain types of information. So kudos to all the work you guys are doing.
Thank you. And I would just add in that I think that's a great way to look at the entire story of your business. And we're constantly, like I said before, trying to encourage people to think of video as one way, one medium in a larger marketing strategy. So here at Wistia, our story, the thing that we believe in is that every single person, every single business can do video really well. So the story we want to tell is people getting better with video. You, who has never made a video before, can be making videos for your business right away. And so you're right, each piece of content really just adds to that and helps that in different ways.
I'm replying to somebody on Twitter right now asking some questions. You mentioned, Elise, about maybe for the company that's just starting out in video, you suggested, going out with a bang, getting a good production company to help you with that first video and really watching the process so that maybe you can have some takeaways when you do it yourself. When a company is looking for a production company, what are some things they should look for, or maybe some warning signs that maybe that's not the right type of production company I should be hiring?
Ooh, very good question. I would say that a big warning sign is a company that, and this is kind of true for everything, right? Company that doesn't want you involved at all in the process. Mm-hmm. Because really, for any relationship like that, if you are handing your brand over to someone, whether it's a PR company or video production, you should be involved, and you should have an agency that wants you involved and really wants to work with you and understand what you're all about. Yeah. I've seen too many businesses because they didn't quite know to look for that beforehand. Not saying that it happens all the time, but to really advocate for being involved in the scripting process and all of that.
Okay. Really good, helpful advice. For the company that is looking to maybe do the video themselves, maybe they don't have a budget to do something, a really nice professional job, but they do want to build some engagement through video. And do you have advice for them on some simple things that they can do to kind of do a high quality video, under a minute that will help engage, just on the production side?
Absolutely. This is one of our favorite topics, actually. So, you know what? You have, most likely, an HD video camera in your pocket, on your desk, anywhere. It's your phone.
Yeah.
And it's not just the iPhone. Other smartphones have excellent cameras, and you would really be surprised if you get the lighting right, if you get audio right, how much you can do with that smartphone camera. So we actually have, you can go to wistia.com/learning. We have a ton of in-depth tutorials on how to use an iPhone to make great video. And I really recommend giving that a shot. You can edit it in iMovie, which is free. There are a lot of things that you probably already have that can get you started. And again, if you're starting with something that is fairly low risk, say a meet the team video, and you just kind of go around the office and meet everyone, or have everyone come in front of the camera for a little bit, that's a really great option, and I highly recommend just giving that a shot.
That's great. I'm going to make sure to put that link to the learning, the wistia.com/learning. I'll put that in the About section of this YouTube video. So if you're watching this on YouTube,
perfect,
there's a link there to go directly to that center. I'll also include it in the recap blog post, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
One of the questions we just tweeted out is, what are some effective ways video can be used on a website?
Yeah, so we talked about on the home page, right? That's that is really most effective, in my opinion, as an initial hook. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming depending on why someone is coming to your website to see the whole, this is everything about our business in 5 minutes video as the first thing. And it's really hard to make that kind of thing engaging, frankly. So yeah, video on the homepage is a great hook to get people interested. However, when you think about why you're using video at all, it's really about when something is best explained by showing visually instead of just telling in text. And so in that way, tutorials and giving away information that your audience would be interested in is a really great use for video on your blog or on other parts of your site. So I bet right now you can think of 3 questions that your customers, no matter what industry you're in, ask you all the time, especially when they're getting started. Each one of those questions can be a video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
It's really helpful on if you have support or documentation pages. Really helpful, especially if you're working in software, to have a video with a person and a screencast on that relevant doc page explaining something. I think using video in context with text, and I think like doc pages are a great example of that. It's a really nice way to provide an answer to someone exactly when they are looking for it. And that kind of experience is going to be really great for your customer or potential customer.
Thank you, Celise. For those that are watching on YouTube, I wanted to let you know that you can join us on Twitter using the Marketing Chat hashtag. You can also click on the little link on the bottom left-hand side of your screen that says "Be part of the conversation," and that'll bring you into a special YouTube chat room where you can post your questions for Elise or add a comment there. So just want to let you guys know on how you can do that. Elise, thank you so much for all these really valuable insights on video production and how businesses can leverage video. One of the questions that we just tweeted out is what companies are using video successfully to promote their brand? So I'm just kind of curious, like you personally, what brands, what companies do you think are doing a really killer job at video?
Yeah, so we have a few. One of the things that we love about the way Red Bull, Nike, and GoPro use video is they are all in this category of marketing a lifestyle or a mission, right? So you don't see a ton of GoPro videos about the camera or a ton of Red Bull videos about the drink, right? It's about that feeling. It's about that greater mission that they have. So they are really nailing the power of video to really make your brand mean something larger. Like video hosting, that is so boring. That is the most video hosting is a very and there's really only so much that you can. Well, I'm just saying. There's only so much that you
I see
can
what you're saying, yeah.
And talk about video hosting. There is a lot that you can talk about being better at video, using video for your business, harnessing that power. There's endless topics about that. So those 3 are really great. In addition, Litmus, email testing, and HubSpot, marketing software, really do a great job of putting their employees front and center to humanize their brand. And it has done wonders for them, not only when they're marketing events, but just in general. Those 2 companies have some of the best brand feel in our industry, and I think that is largely in part to their use of video.
I love all the companies you mentioned. I'm just thinking back, yeah, you know what? I love watching the Red Bull videos. I love GoPro. They have just amazing video content as well as just photography that they share with their community, and highly engaging. And it's all about, the passion of their community that they're sharing. And they're not really showing their cameras so much. It's all about what the community is sharing using their product.
Well, and I would say, because I know when people hear, oh, GoPro is great, Red Bull is great, and they're like, I can't have someone jump off a cliff. Like,
for video hosting?
Yeah, and so I think it's more about looking at it from a higher level and trying to analyze why that type of content is good for their business, why that's working for them, what the strategy is, and how you can apply that strategy to think about your company and say, what is our larger mission that would get people excited or speak to the right people, not necessarily everyone, but the right people. So it's not to say that that those are really unattainable things, because you can think about that for your own business.
Elise, you guys have done a really, really good job on the B2B side. I'm really curious your advice for B2B businesses that are looking to create engaging videos that maybe aren't considered cool companies like the Red Bulls, like the Nikes. They don't have like a raving fan base, sharing video clips, jumping off cliffs and stuff like that. What's your advice for those companies that are maybe more product or service oriented that aren't the Red Bulls out there? Like, what types of videos could they create to help, like you said, humanize their brand?
Yeah, we get this question a lot. And without the euphemisms, it's like how to make video for boring industries. Totally fair. And really, when you think about it, people who are your viewers care. They don't really feel an emotional connection to a company or an office too much. So anytime that you're able to just get the faces of your company on camera is a good thing. And that can be hard depending on what you're working on, but I'd say even if you have a software company or a manufacturing company, in addition to showing the products, you can also show a person on camera, and any time you're going to do that is going to be a really, really good way to humanize your brand. I think in addition to that, you just have to know your audience, and you have to know what they're about, and that, again, is not just a video thing, right? That is a greater marketing strategy thing. You have to really put the work in and know who you should be talking to. I think businesses get nervous and think about viral videos and think that they need to appeal to everyone and have it be this widespread crazy thing. No, you just have to know, just like you're doing with all of your other content, your advertising, the rest of your marketing, specifically who you're talking to. What do they need? What are they concerned with? What struggles are they facing right now that you can provide the answer to? And even if your product doesn't provide the answer, you can provide the content that answers those questions. Anytime you do that, you're going to build a following because people appreciate that.
Yeah, I think really, really good insights there, at least. One of the questions that we are now just posting is question number 5 in the tweet chat, if you're following the marketing chat on Twitter, which is, should businesses try to create a viral video? Why or why not? You kind of touched on this. Can you talk a little bit about that, creating a viral video?
Oh, yeah. All right. Here we go. So viral videos have a very specific goal, and that is to get as many eyeballs as possible on that one video. The goal that they do not achieve is collecting leads or bringing people back to your business. Sometimes viral videos don't even leave the viewer remembering what the business was, because it's really all about that funny thing that happened.
Right, totally.
That's not to say that there isn't a place for viral videos in a marketing strategy. It just depends on your business. It depends on the size of your business. And in general, viral videos are most effective for big companies that might already be a household name and are able to devote a lot of time and money and resources on an experiment. because it really is like buying a lottery ticket. And so yeah, if you have those kind of resources, it can be a really fun experiment as long as you acknowledge that the goal and the ROI that you would be looking for is just eyeballs. It's just people seeing it. It's not the most effective way to get leads or get people back to your business.
Elise, I love listening to you as you talk about creating actually a business strategy behind these videos. It's not just about eyeballs. It's about how is this going to move your business forward. And I love your thought process about this. For the businesses that are thinking about creating video, or maybe they're already making video, but they haven't been thinking about it from a business standpoint or having some sort of business or marketing strategy behind it, what are some good goals? You mentioned at the very beginning of this interview that it's good to have you need to have one primary goal for a video. So what would be some of these primary goals that businesses should consider using as their benchmark for measurement of success? Because there can be a lot of different goals. I'm just curious, like, what are these kinds of goals that you think businesses could use?
Definitely. I'm actually going to ask Elise to tweet out our recent on video metrics, because we talk really in depth about that. So she's going to tweet that out with the hashtag, so you guys can get the long story. I will tell you the TLDR here.
And I'll make sure when I see the link, I'll make sure to post that link in the About section of this YouTube video for those to get that.
Nice. So a goal action, before we talk about metrics, a goal action a really good one would be to have people sign up for your email list, right?
Right.
We all know the power of email reigns supreme.
Yes.
And that is still such a good way. I would say probably the best way to really build your core following, so that you can then give them the other content that you're making. So great way to do that is by putting an email collector at the end of your video, and then make your video so that is the clear end point. So you kind of have the 1-2 punch there. You have provided them with something valuable, and then say, hey, do you want more things that are valuable? Sign up here.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, talking about specific metrics and goals. Engagement is a really important one that we look at, and that is, again, on average, how much of your video your viewers are actually staying around for. That can tell us a few things. That can tell us the quality of the video itself. That can tell us whether or not the length is what the audience expected. It can also tell us if we see that people are rewatching things, that some piece of that video was very interesting, and we should then make a separate video about that very thing. We tend to look at things like engagement, how that video influenced our actual website metrics, how many people were clicking on the call to action to go somewhere else. That kind of stuff is very important to us. And we also look at social sharing. A lot of that really good brand feel is word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of those things together are really important. But I'd say that you should really decide whether the goal, like the key performance indicator for a video, is purely the amount of reach that it has. Because if that is your goal, you should be looking at things like view count. Yeah, that would be very important. If your goal is to influence other content to give people that really great, valuable experience, that is sort of a quality goal, and then you should be looking mostly at the engagement of your video, how many people watched or dropped off at some point. The guide goes into it a bit more in depth with a bunch of different specific metrics and their matching goals, so I highly recommend taking a look at that.
Great, and I'll make sure to have that link in the About section of this YouTube video, and we'll also tweet this out during the marketing chat. So thank you for that guide. That's going to be very, very helpful for our community. You mentioned something that I want to ask you a little bit more about, and you're talking about when you look back at the analytics of the video, looking at the engagement, looking at specific sections, which then you said can then prompt actionable things like, oh, they were really engaged in this type of content. We should then consider creating a new video just focusing on that particular content because it seems to engage. Are there other things that you have learned by looking at analytics on videos that have helped you with, social initiatives or campaigns that you're working on?
Yeah, definitely. So part of that engagement graph, again, is seeing where people drop off. And it's a common thing for businesses to put a video intro or outro to kind of bookend their content.
Yes.
And that could be some fancy animation of like their logo swooshing in and, oh, it's cool graphics. And sometimes that's great for branding. However, it also will influence your engagement graph. So, because people will see that and they'll know that the video is over, even if you have something perhaps after that at the end. Other lessons from the engagement graph. A lot of it has been about video length, and that will really video length and how well your message is structured. We've had a few videos before that were in the Learning Center that are tutorials, and we tried to put too much information into one video, and you can tell because people reach that saturation point and then just start dropping off. And you know what? If we didn't have that graph, we would not know. We would not know that it's too much and that we need to make an edit of that video, that we need to more carefully consider that length and that message arrangement next time. So it has influenced our entire video strategy.
That's awesome. And the way you learned that was really by looking at your analytics, because you're testing out a new way of showing video, longer content, more details. You put it out there, and then you immediately start to analyze how it's being received.
Yep. And it's also really important, and the metrics guide helps with this, to, like I have said before you publish your video, before you script your video, decide what the goal is. Because you don't want to end up being disappointed that you have a low view count, even though other metrics are really great. So it's really important to keep an eye on all metrics, but know which one matches to your goal. And that's something that, trust me, is easier said than done. And we've been disappointed before, and then we have to step back and say, hey, but this video mattered a lot for the small number of people it was meant for, and they did what we wanted them to do. And that is sort of like the new way of looking at video marketing that we want to encourage people to take, because mattering a lot to a smaller amount of people is better for business.
I love that. I just tweeted out what you just said about decide what your goal is before you produce this video, and I like what you're saying about make sure that it matters to the community you're trying to reach, because sometimes I think we really focus on the view count, like how many views did we get, and that's the most important thing, which is
so tempting,
right? But you're saying that, you know what, it's all about, are you reaching the community? Are you getting the engagement out of it? Are you reaching your business goal with the right community, with the video?
Yep.
So the question that we're now tweeting out is, what mistakes do some businesses make when creating videos?
Yeah, so we talked about this a little previously, but again, I would say, I sound like a broken record here, but it's all it's having that one message and not trying to say too much. We've learned that the hard way. It is better to create 5 short, to-the-point, specific videos than one long video that tries to say everything.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you about... I'm sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
Oh no, I just said absolutely.
Okay, cool. I want to ask you a little bit about testing, and I think one of the things that is hard sometimes is, every business, you want to get your video right. You want to do the best job possible. You want to get the most engagement, or you want to achieve what your business goals are. But where does testing come in on testing out longer formats or different intros? What are your thoughts on testing video, and what types of tests should businesses consider running with their specific communities to see what would engage them better?
Definitely. The good old A/B test is a favorite. And we've run into this even as simple as, I think Jeff should be wearing a green shirt. No, I think Jeff should be wearing a blue shirt. And it's like, fine, we'll do both.
Really?
Yep. And yeah, so that's a really easy one to do. The other one that, this sounds very quaint, but I really encourage you to try is we send video proofs or video drafts to people outside of the business to get their eyes on it. Because if you're working on something, especially something as creative as this, it's really hard to have that outside person. So sending it to your aunt, and especially if it is a kind of broader, like, about Wistia video, and seeing whether or not she understands can be a really kind of interesting test. Definitely hit or miss there, but beyond someone like your aunt, you can send it to people you already have a good relationship with in your industry. And the added bonus there is everyone loves to be asked for their opinion, right? So you're also strengthening the influencers in your industry and just sort of keeping your brand on their mind and keeping them feeling important. So we love doing that as a test, sending it out to a small list of people.
That's awesome. I love that you're doing that and reaching out to people outside the industry to kind of get their feedback. I think that's really smart. I want to dive in a little bit more. I'm fascinated now because you mentioned shirts, the shirt color, which I've never, ever would have thought about. But when you mentioned A/B testing, because I'm thinking A/B testing refers to websites, I'm not thinking about A/B testing referring to actually video content. I think it's fascinating you guys have tested out shirt color, which is awesome that you guys have done that and are actually looking at even the smallest details to see how does it affect engagement. I'm curious about what other types of tests have you run, or things that you encourage businesses to think about testing for their own video?
Yeah, this is a tricky one, but other things that we've run have been more sort of run-of-the-mill, where you want to try a different video length, like I talked about before, the minute versus the 30-second.
I think that's a great test. That's a great test.
Yeah, that's very good to do, especially if you're having difficulty getting buy-in from others on the team about making a shorter video. Easy way to test that, right?
Yes.
Another thing that I would try, and that we have tried before, is similar video, but just with different scripts. It can be really important to really see the effectiveness of the messaging that you have chosen for your overall marketing, to try out a few different ways of saying Wistia is video hosting for business. Wistia is professional video hosting. Even little details like that, testing out how those do can be pretty interesting to see how people react to that.
And you're able to measure this just from your analytics. You can kind of dig into the analytics to see what's engaging.
Yes. So we have things called heat maps, which are pretty self-explanatory in that it basically shows how much of video someone has watched and then how much they have rewatched several times, and then how much they have, or when rather, they dropped off. So the average of those, the aggregate, is the engagement graph. So it'll be pretty good, and then you'll see like, whoa, people really got bored at that point, or they were already convinced. That is another possibility for that drop-off.
One of the questions that just got tweeted out is a video series more engaging than a standalone video? And we just want to get your thoughts on doing the one video just to get out your message, or actually breaking it up into a series. What do you think drives more engagement?
Yeah, very, very good question. And I would really say that I don't want to say that one is better than the other, because they have very different goals. So a video series can be a great way to have that slow burn effect and to keep people coming back, because they know that once a week on the blog you're going to give away this marketing tip, and it's going to be short, to the point, and over time, if that is valuable, people will share it and you'll start to get more people coming back, especially if you have an email collector. And that's great. It just has a different goal, a more long-term goal than a single video. So that goal is very different than the goal of the video that you put on your homepage, which should be to hook people and perhaps increase conversions. That one, it's not more or less important. It's just outward facing, as opposed to engaging that core audience that you already have.
Elise, for the companies that are out there that have not started shooting video, but maybe are listening to you and realizing that, you know what, we need to do a video, we need to humanize our brand, we need to help engage our community in a visual way. What would be like a budget, if they want to do it the right way? What kind of budget should they be looking at doing if they're looking to do a high-quality professional video that's maybe under 2 minutes? What kind of budget should they be thinking about having kind of prepared for that?
Yeah, to do it themselves, you mean? Not
to do it themselves, right? Yeah.
So, I can really only speak to budget as far as gear goes, because budget as far as time and employees is an entirely different thing. We have kind of two extremes that we have looked at in the past, and the super DIY budget, which uses an iPhone, uses the DIY lighting kit that we have in our learning center, which is $100 at Home Depot and really good.
That's awesome.
That is going to run you like $200 for the gear, and I really, really suggest trying that first, because that's also something that you can kind of do quietly and not have to tell too many people about. And so I'm serious. It's something
true.
That is not a huge expense.
That's
so
true.
It's okay if your first few videos are not very good and they are small and maybe even internal videos to explain, I'm serious, don't laugh, how the coffee machine works, how something, those things are great ways to practice explaining something, practice editing video. That can be a great way to get your feet wet. The gear that we use, the professional studio gear, runs about $5,000 in total. So that can vary, because you can get a different mic, you can get different lights, and those can all vary in cost. But that's about what you're looking at to use the equipment that we use for our videos. So depending on the business, that's either great news or going for the DIY.
I love how you mentioned like starting out small, like just practicing doing some simple tutorials yourself to kind of get the hang of it. Even like how to make coffee in your office coffee machine could really help with you creating story on video and practicing it. And even just using an iPhone, like you're saying, that's brilliant. I love that. As far as for someone who's going to do it themselves, video editing, is there something that could help them in that process to edit videos simply?
Yeah. You know what? Everyone here knows, but I use iMovie even for the videos that I make for Wistia. purely because learning new software takes a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah,
And
totally.
it does a good job.
Yeah,
I would say that is a great starting point, because it can make a professional looking video. Um, I will see if Elise wants to tweet out. We actually have an iMovie tips blog post that
oh, that's great.
has a few of like the 5 things that you should know. Because the problem with editing software, right, is that it's so complicated, and it's often made for filmmakers, and you don't need 70% of the features in there. You just need these 5. So she'll tweet that out right now, and that's a good one. But I think a big editing thing that I didn't know before I came here of B-roll is basically of around the office, just extra filler shots that show what you're explaining. So if the video starts with just me on screen in the studio talking about something, if I'm saying, at Wistia, we use video and email to blah, 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 there will be B-roll of a computer screen with an email. It just adds to that story so much more than just me the entire 1 minute like telling you something.
That's a great, great tip, having B-roll and getting plenty of it. That's wonderful. Before we move to the final 5 questions, just to let to know you a little more personally, do you have a final tip for a business that wants to start leveraging video and doing it the right way? And this could be a tip you've already shared. Just a final suggestion for the businesses that wants to start to do video in the best way possible for their business.
Yeah, man, this is hard. I would say sort of unconventional, but more about taking care of yourself in this process. Is make sure it's not just you. Have at least one other person who thinks that this is a good idea and who is going to work with you on it. That can be easier said than done, but I think that's really important because it can be very hard to try to convince people who might only care about view count, for example, that this is worthwhile. So I guess my tip is get a buddy. That sounds so... But
yeah. That's very good advice. And by the way, if you're watching this and you're seeing some video disruption, audio quality, this is an Experian Google Plus issue. This is not a Wistia issue. We're doing this a live hangout on Google Plus, and sometimes there's some blips just from our Wi-Fi issues here at Experian. So this is a Google Plus Experian thing going on. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the final 5. And these questions are just to get to know you, Elise, a little bit more personally. Thank you so much for sharing all these valuable insights. And now to humanize, let's talk about you and to get to know you more personally. So I just started watching The Voice. And I don't really watch too many reality shows, but I just started watching The Voice. And it's a really good show. My wife watches it. My daughter watches it. I'm curious, do you have a favorite reality show that you watch?
Ooh, I have weaned myself off of reality shows because I couldn't do it anymore. But so I will do a Thursday reality show and say that The Real World. Real World used to be my jam.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
Back
really
in the day.
Good. All right, so you weaned yourself up.
Yeah.
Okay, the second one is when you go to your favorite coffee shop to get a drink, what's your selection?
Oh, people are going to hate me. An almond milk cappuccino? I know.
I've never had that before.
It's really good. I don't love soy milk so much, but almond milk is really delicious. I'm not vegan. Don't
don't judge me
about that.
Judge me. That's so funny. That's awesome. Okay, well I gotta try that. Okay, the third question is this is something that in one of our other hangouts, someone asked this, and I thought it was a good question. If you were an animal, like what would be your spirit animal in another life?
Hands down, panther.
Love it.
Thought about this.
You
Yeah.
thought about it.
Oh yeah. This is not the first time this has been discussed. It's actually in the internal. It's in the internal like Wistia wiki of like everyone has their spirit animal next to it. Yeah.
Oh really? That's awesome. That's okay. So I'm curious. So in this wiki, what's the funniest animal you've seen someone has chosen?
I can pull it up right now. Like a liger.
I love it. Oh really? A liger? Awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. I love that you already knew your answer. You're like, oh yeah, panther.
Oh, done.
Definitely. Okay, fourth question is, what was your first concert or favorite concert you've attended?
Oh, first was probably Carlos Santana with my favorite. I'm obsessed with Beyonce.
Okay,
and so seeing her in concert, seeing her and Jay-Z in concert was, it was a very memorable experience. It was great.
That's awesome. Yep, I love both of them. Okay, the last question is favorite dessert.
Ooh. I would have to say apple crisp or like pie of some kind.
Okay.
But I'm all about pie. I would actually have pie in Italy.
I'm right there with you. Totally. Pie's definitely better, I think. So do you like pumpkin pie?
No. See, that's the one thing. I like pecan pie, apple pie, berry pie. Not pumpkin so much.
What?
It's like pudding.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't want pudding. I want pie.
I've never heard pumpkin pie just because it's pudding, but yeah, you know what? It could qualify. Totally. It could qualify. I used to work at Marie Callender's when I was in high school, so I worked in a pie shop.
Oh, stop.
Yeah,
oh my God.
And I ate, I loved pie. And, I was in sports, and then, like, I'd bring home pie during homework with my friends. We would, like, polish off easily pumpkin, lemon meringue,
We actually had, at Wistia, around the office, we had a face pieing thing for charity where you could surprise pie someone in the face. And then you would,
surprise?
You would pay charity in order to get the opportunity to, like, pie your boss in the face.
That is hilarious. That's
charity,
awesome.
Right? Yeah.
For charity. That's great. Well, Elise, thank you so much for hanging out with us and answering all these questions, providing so many valuable insights on leveraging video for business. I want to thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Really, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined. Also, these were awesome questions, awesome discussion, and feel free to ask Wistia or even email me, elise@wistia.com, with any questions at all, because I just love talking about it.
Great. And for those that are watching, I'm going to have links going out to Wistia so you can learn more about Wistia and also information on Elise so you can get in contact with her on Twitter and reach out to her about further questions. Also, if you want to get some more details, you can go to ex.pn/marketing-chat, and that'll bring you over to the page where we're featuring this video as well as links. But if you're watching this on YouTube, just go to the About section, and you'll see the links driving you over to Wistia to learn more. Elise, thank you again so much for hanging out with us and answering all these questions. So many valuable insights. I want to thank everyone for watching and for being part of our tweet chat today. Again, we're here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.